Hey YouTube, welcome back. I just want to talk this morning about the issues surrounding Victory is Life, the new expansion for Star Trek Online. I've been playing since Delta Recruit came out, and by far this seems to be the buggiest release that they've had, in my opinion. Especially if you have one of their premium Vanguard Jem'Hadar. So I just want to take a look at some of the stuff that's out. The bottom line up front, my opinion, my advice, if you have not started playing yet, wait. If you have started playing, pause. Don't execute any dilithium, energy credit, no funds whatsoever on your Jem'Hadar. Just stop where you're at until we figure out what's going on. Because this is the buggiest. Like, man, this is ridiculous. Let's take a look at some of the patch notes coming out for June 7th, 2018. And this by far does not address all the issues, but there are a lot of things to go over here. So in general, they resolved an issue that was occasionally causing the maps to crash. The consoles in the shipyard, they've been exclusive to one player. So anytime you went up there to manage your ships especially, you just couldn't get in. So they've apparently resolved that. And on Kronos, they resolved an issue where new banks were exclusive to one player at a time. I think those are the ones up in the shipyard. And let me just make a note here. It seems that the majority of the bugs, I mean, the whole thing is bugged, don't get me wrong. But if you're playing a Jem'Hadar Vanguard that chose KDF faction, you're hosed. Because you're getting the vast majority of the bugs and then some. Which, unfortunately, that's what I chose, was to be KDF aligned. So resolved an issue where players who logged out in the old Deep Space Nine interior were not immediately taken to the new interior when logging back in. Cardassian bridge officers can no longer be sold on the exchange. They resolved an issue where the Gamma Vanguard species description was incorrect in the C-store. I highlighted that in one of my videos. Added messaging that states that Jem'Hadar captain needs to have played for 20 hours in order to receive the 50,000 feet, supposed to be fleet dilithium reward for joining a fleet. Now my question to them would be, okay, so what if you've already joined a fleet before you played 20 hours? Do you have to quit your fleet and then rejoin to gain the dilithium reward, or are you just never going to get it? Resolved an issue where the Marks weekend that started on July 5th was set to run for 2 months. Under Swarm Elite, they resolved issues where the enemies would not attack during Phase 3 and where the queue always failed in Phase 3. They removed the cooldown for all difficulties of the queue, which is good. I'm glad they removed the cooldown. On Quark's Lucky 7, they resolved an issue where the player did not appear in one of the last cutscenes on the Iconian ship. And they resolved an issue that caused the search to always award gear at Mark II. So under systems, the Cardassian intel ships, their consoles can now be used on any ship, and their hull and shield values now match the values published by the dev blogs, or published in the dev blog stats for all 3 ships. And they resolved a myriad of issues with the spiral wave disruptor. They resolved the issue that caused them to lose damage after the last patch. They can now be re-engineered. The dual beam banks, dual cannons, dual heavy cannons, you used to be able to, apparently for a while there, you could equip them in aft weapon slots, which I bet that was funny. Firing cannon scatter volley with dual heavy cannons from the rear. Resolved an issue where the spiral wave disruptor weapons were not available to be purchased in the dilithium reclaim store once a player had already obtained any Cardassian ship. So now you can reclaim those, you can purchase them. Resolved an issue that prevented Jem'Hadar Vanguard characters from gaining reputation progress at the sponsored rate. Jem'Hadar Vanguard characters are now correctly sponsored in all reputations other than Gamma reputation, and this fixes existing characters as well. Resolved an issue that caused holographic Rom to have superior Jem'Hadar vitality. Now he has superior stubborn, which is what they originally intended. Resolved an issue where Bridge Officer Jem'Hadar Vanguard Engineered Soldier Space trait wasn't correctly functioning and was displaying duration text unintentionally. So hopefully that will fix the crit chance. I resolved an issue where the player version of Lex knives were doing too much damage. Ferengi Admiralty is now a valid option for the Gamma Recruit Admiralty tasks. Resolved an issue where the link ability for the Jem'Hadar Vanguard Wingman would reset when moving to another map. And Gamma Recruit salvage character and account boxes no longer prompt the player to pick from the one option they make the player take. So just automatically rewards you what you get. So known issues that are unresolved. Storm clouds gather. In teams, it's possible to get into a state where the pillar in the ore processing room will not rotate correctly, which will block progress. A defeated player will always respawn on the bottom floor of the ore processing room, which will require the player to do the pillar and walkway puzzle again to get back to higher levels. And the Gamma Recruit Jem'Hadar, which have chosen the Klingon faction, cannot complete Duty Officer Gamma Recruit tasks. Like I said, if you chose KDF, you're just hosed at this point. So my advice, and there are other things too that aren't even, this is just what they're patching and what they've acknowledged already. But if you go over to the forums and look at the stuff that's going on, apparently there's no way for you to gain more Jem'Hadar, even regular Jem'Hadar bridge officers, unless you want to go back and do that one mission where you get one. You can repeat that over and over again, but that's it. Hopefully that they will eventually add a kind of like the Romulans get, where you can do a duty officer assignment to recruit a Romulan bridge officer. Hopefully they'll add a similar mechanic for the Jem'Hadar, that if you're on Deep Space Nine, and you can probably recruit more Jem'Hadar bridge officers. But yeah, folks, this thing is broke right now. That's just the bottom line of it. If you go through, which one is this? This is under the support forums, PC gameplay bug reports. You can go through there and see all the stuff that people are listing in here, and it's just too many to go through and name individually. I've even posted a couple of them in there. There's one about the Vanguard Jem'Hadar crit chance being broken, and I think that's what they were mentioning in the patch notes, that they have a known issue in here somewhere where they would, yeah, somewhere in there. Hopefully they've fixed that. But there's a lot of issues with pathing for the bridge officers for your away team, and I showed that in one of my videos where when you're in the ore processing room, the bridge officers, the away team, wouldn't follow you and fight like they're supposed to. Let's see. Yeah, this guy, Storm Strike 2. Now, this was mentioned in Q&A, but they ignored it. Said that my advice is for people who don't already own Vanguards to not buy them. They are broken. Yeah, I agree at this point, honestly. So, yeah, the crit chance being broken, that's in there. KDF Jem'Hadar not receiving a KDF uniform. When you picked your faction, the KDF were shown having a pretty cool uniform. And apparently the Fed aligned got all their uniform choices. So you have other uniform options on account-wide uniforms. I did notice that the mercenary uniforms are available to Jem'Hadar Vanguard, but like the Intel uniforms and all that, none of those options are showing up right now. Yeah, so they're having the same issue. Fed aligned Jem'Hadar has a ton of costume options, while my KDF aligned only has the options I started with. And yeah, I've said I've already this is my post, said I've already executed about 100 million EC worth of gear and traits on my Vanguard, and I really hope they can fix all these issues without us having to delete and start over, which would be that would just frankly suck, because I've jumped a lot of EC in preparation for this coming out, and I've got, like, dynamic power redistribution module. That's why I picked KDF, was so I could have access to that console, and the uniforms look cool. And a bunch of traits already, space and ground traits on my tune, and I hope I don't have to delete and start over. Tenebrous Tourniquet won't end, or Torquent, however they're pronounced, that won't end. It's a mission that says that you have to defeat the last Herc, but if you die, the Herc disappears and won't respawn. So there's no way for you to finish the mission. So yeah, this thing is seriously broken. Honestly, folks, my advice to you right now is, if you have not started playing this new content, if you have not yet created your Jem'Hadar, don't. Wait a couple of weeks. You've waited this long for Victory's Life to come out. I'd say wait a couple more weeks for them to fix it before you invest any time or resources into a Jem'Hadar at this point, just because it is so broken. For me, I'm going to stop playing it for right now. I'm going to wait a couple of weeks, and I'm just hoping I don't have to delete my character and start over with nothing. Because, like I said, I've already executed about 100 million EC, and if Cryptic has taught us anything, they'll hose you over and won't do anything at all to make right by it. Because, yeah, they'll tell you just too bad, and you have to regrind all that stuff. So, well, it's disappointing. I would have hoped that and hopefully by them opening Tribble to the general populace, they will have better vetting going forward on their future releases. In my opinion, that they should have made all this stuff available for testing long before now. All these issues would have been identified and fixed. Yeah, I understand not wanting to release spoilers, but come on. Releasing something that is this buggy is just, in my opinion, inexcusable. All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining me again. Please do yourself a favor. If you have not yet started, I cannot say it enough. Do not invest in this at this point. Give them a couple of weeks to fix all the bugs, and then go into it and enjoy the content. Save yourself the hassle and headache. Well, thank you for joining me. I plan to get back into the KDF story arc until they fix this. And until then, we will talk to you later.